We finally got the news we've been waiting for. Matthew Stafford is going to be back as quarterback for Los Angeles Rams next season. We're going to talk all about the details of his potential signing moving forward. We still don't have official details and word on contract numbers. We're going to talk all about the update, though, as well as the future of some of these other quarterbacks that the Rams were rumored to be linked to. What's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers and guys like that. We're going to talk all about that, and as well as another signing for the Rams, all on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Giron. Remember, if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, press that subscribe button now, as 71.9% of you guys are watching the videos, but you're still not subscribed to the channel. Do me a favor, press that subscribe button now so you don't miss any daily Rams content here at the Rams Digest. First things first, who is back? Guess who's back? You already know, Matthew Stafford, number 9. Was he really ever going to go anywhere, guys? Yes, we talked all about this for the last couple months, and I really did truly feel like this was getting rocky, this was getting ugly, this was a real potential that Matthew Stafford moves on from the Rams this offseason. However, it looks like, according to Ian Rappaport, which he has some news of his own, by the way, some interesting stuff going on with Rappaport, another reporter, about this Stafford situation. We'll talk about that in a second. But the Rams and quarterback Matthew Stafford can't quit each other just yet. The two sides are closing in on a deal for Stafford to return to LA. After talks with the Raiders and Giants, Stafford ends up taking less than he would have gotten elsewhere to stay. The Rams' deal with Matthew Stafford will be agreed to and finalized over the next few weeks, sources say, and the salary for 2025 will be available then. It'll happen likely after free agency. And so that's kind of where it's at. Right, sorry for the wrong screenshot here, but that's kind of where it's at with Matthew Stafford, right? That's kind of a highlight, something I do want to note, right? A lot of people were kind of out there saying, no, this isn't real. This Matthew Stafford is not going anywhere. He's going to be a Ram. And I do kind of understand that sentiment. But at the end of the day, it was really like, if Matthew Stafford really wanted, that's kind of the point I had been making. If he really wanted $50 million, the Rams were going to move on from him, right? They were not going to pay him $50 million. And so there you have it. The Rams are not going to pay Matthew Stafford $50 million, or maybe they will. Who knows? We'll see what the details come out. But it looks like the Rams are actually going to pay him less than what he probably could have gotten with the Raiders, would have gotten with the Giants, for example. But ultimately, it just doesn't really make sense for Matthew Stafford at this point in his career to move on from the Rams to try to compete with the Raiders, who are not in a good place to compete right now, with the Giants, who are not in a good place to compete right now. Stafford staying in LA, actually, for both sides, right? We talked about this as well. The Rams, their best chance of winning next season is keeping Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford's best chance of winning next season is staying in LA. Yes, he might say goodbye to $5 to $10 million in terms of contract that he could have gotten in terms of the Raiders or the Giants, but is it really worth it to go to a team that isn't going to win very much, and you have to uproot your family and move to a different city and all that good stuff? It's kind of would have got complex for him in his situation. Matthew Stafford's comfortable in LA, obviously close relationship with Sean McVay and everybody else in the building. The team wanted him back. A lot of you fans wanted him back. And so therefore, Stafford is going to stay in LA. I think ultimately the best move for him and the organization for the most part. I do think the Rams should start looking at Matthew Stafford now as a little more of a bridge quarterback, because you do need to move on from him at some point, right? It was very close to happening this year. Maybe he plays 1 year, maybe he plays 2 more years. Either way, within the next 2 to 3 years, we're looking at needing a new quarterback for the Rams for life after Matthew Stafford. And so I think at this point, the Rams need to either draft a quarterback, whether it's second, third round, fourth round, fifth round. Either way, you need to kind of find a way to get a talented option at quarterback, maybe a Justin Fields, for example. That way you can have an option moving forward in the next 2 to 3 years, moving on from Matthew Stafford. Sorry if you hear a loud car outside my window right now. But moving on from that, I mean, we can still talk about this Matthew Stafford situation, more details about it over the next few weeks, I'm sure. But the Rams and Matthew Stafford were one play away from beating the Eagles in snowy Philadelphia and advancing to the NFC Championship game in their own building. It's clear the team is closer to a Super Bowl than not, and Stafford gives them the best chance to get there. And both sides made that happen today with the restructured deal. And so, yeah, that's kind of what we've been talking about, right? Adam Schefter not really talking about anything new here. It's kind of exactly how we all feel. Just makes sense for both sides. They both want to win now. They both are still in a position to win now if they stay together and have this relationship stay together, right? The marriage between Stafford and the Rams. And so, therefore, just keep it together, because ultimately we get the best chance for each other, right, to succeed in the next season. That's kind of where it's at. But there are some interesting, points, right, to still talk about, right? Well, now that Matthew Stafford, that kind of main big domino fell. I talked about that a couple episodes ago. I said he is kind of this major domino in free agency of quarterbacks. So now that this domino falls, what's happening next? Well, with Matthew Stafford remaining with the Rams, the New York Giants are investigating all veteran quarterback options, including Aaron Rodgers, per sources, which, again, I talked about this with Matthew Stafford Stafford. Why do the Giants want Matthew Stafford? Well, they need to win now, so they need any quarterback who can just play, right? And that's Aaron Rodgers, that's Matthew Stafford, the legendary quarterbacks of their own era, but also speaking of guys like Derek Carr, if he's a free agent, Kirk Cousins, right? They need someone who can win now for them because they're trying to fight for their jobs, right? So here's the truth. Yes, the Giants are young, but that's kind of where they're looking at moving forward. They want to get a veteran guy in there to help them win right now so they can save some jobs in New York, I think. So we'll see what happens with Rodgers. Luckily, the Rams kind of dodged that bullet of what is Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career. Very dramatic kind of everywhere he goes. Maybe it's not his fault. Maybe it is his fault. I'm not giving an opinion on Aaron Rodgers. I'm just saying it seems to be that wherever Aaron Rodgers goes, the drama, the media kind of follows him. And so maybe the Rams dodging a bullet there and not having to deal with that situation moving forward. So very, very interesting stuff there. But the Rams, they're not just done signing players, right? They do still have some team building to do. And it looks like, according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, he says the Rams and offensive tackle Alaric Jackson are getting close to a long-term extension. Then he updated that a few minutes later, saying Jackson's deal will be for 3 years and $57 million with $35 million guaranteed. Sources confirmed. So the big man, Alaric Jackson, left tackle, is back with the Rams. Very, very good news. If you lost Alaric Jackson in free agency because you don't want to pay him or whatever it is, then you're looking at probably drafting an offensive tackle in the first round. Now, the Rams don't necessarily have to do that. They can still, if you're looking at the right side of the offensive line, the offensive tackle Rob Havenstein, probably going to be okay to start for you next season, but he is getting toward the end of his career in his own right. And so, as much as we love and respect the legendary player he has been for the Rams and their franchise history, we still want to see a replacement at some point. But now you're not forced, right, to take a left tackle immediately in the first round. Now this draft strategy kind of changes. You don't have to take one of those big offensive linemen. If he's the best player on your board, if that offensive lineman can play right side maybe as well, then go ahead and take that player. But it's not forcing the Rams' hand. Now these mock drafts are going to start looking a little bit different moving forward, I think. Not just from me, from my perspective, but also from a lot of experts out there. They're going to start mocking different types of players to the Rams. Maybe a cornerback, for example. Maybe a quarterback, right, to possibly take over a Jordan Love situation. For those who think that's kind of crazy to draft their quarterback to bench him, well, Jordan Love did the exact same thing for the Packers, right? So something of that nature. Maybe you're looking at an interior offensive lineman. Maybe you're looking at interior defensive lineman. I drafted a linebacker last mock draft, which some people didn't like. But, there's a lot of options the Rams can go now with maintaining their quarterback in Stafford and maintaining their left tackle in Leric Jackson. Huge news there for the Rams. 2 birds, 1 stone here. Big media day for the Rams in general. Shout out to them for getting the deal done with Matthew Stafford, keeping that in-house, just making it happen. And, who knows? Yes, Cooper Kupp already announced that they're moving on from him, but maybe they don't find a trade partner. Maybe they don't want to just cut him. They don't think it's worth it. So they just try to restructure a deal with him and his camp now. Not trying to make any promises here, but that's also, I would assume, maybe on the table at this point because they haven't traded Cooper Kupp yet. So we'll have to wait and see on Cooper Kupp. But right now, Matthew Stafford in the building. He's going to be the quarterback for the Rams for the near future. Moving on from that, we can actually go into the trivia of the day from last episode. For those who missed it or don't understand or never seen what this is and what we do here, what we've been doing is, as I keep picking the wrong screenshots, what we've been doing is trivia of the day every episode that I'm on. And so I ask a trivia question at the end of every episode. I give you guys a chance to guess first, give you some multiple choice options, make it help you out a little bit. You give your guess in the comments. You wait to the next video and see if you got your answer correct or not. And so here was the question for last episode. It was the Electric Company was a nickname bestowed on the NFL, or the offensive lineman of what NFL team? The answer for that, we had a couple people make some guesses, as you guys saw already a little bit. We had Optics saying trivia, was it the Bills, question mark. We had Floyd saying, was it the Rams, question mark. And we had Raina saying the Bills. That was all their guesses right there. If you guys want to get shouted out just like this on every single episode, just give a trivia guess to the next trivia question we're going to ask in the next couple minutes. But these 3 were a shout out to them for playing along, giving their guesses for last episode's trivia. It was the Buffalo Bills. That was the correct answer. So shout out to Optics. Shout out to Raina for getting the answer correct. Shout out to Floyd for playing. I appreciate you playing. I appreciate you getting it wrong. I actually do appreciate when people get it wrong because it means you didn't go Google the answer before you guessed it. So I appreciate all you guys. Not saying that Raina and Optics did. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I appreciate you guys guessing, even the ones who got it wrong. So if you guys want to get shouted out on next episode, go ahead and give your guess to this next trivia question coming up right now, as the trivia of the day today is as such. Trivia of the day, number 14. Here we go. What NFL defensive end later became a TV detective named Hunter in his own primetime series. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to think and ponder and make your guesses right here. Maybe just guess without multiple choice for a second. One more time. What NFL defensive end later became a TV detective named Hunter in his own primetime series? Multiple choice options are, was it A, Fred Dreyer? Was it B, Fred Williamson? Was it C, Howie Long? Or was it D, Ed Marinaro? Ed Marinaro? Those are your 4 multiple choice options. Give me your guesses down below in the comments. If you guys want to be shouted out in the next episode, give your guess down below so we can try to give you a shout out if you guys get it correct, or maybe even sometimes incorrect on the trivia of the day. Other than that, that's going to do it for me on today's episode of the Rams Digest. Remember, if you guys not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, press that subscribe button now before you go. That's going to do it for me. I'm your host, Joshua Giron, and I am out.